get me on there, my soul. If he's small, or if he's tall.
Can you put me through to the White Moon Stores, Sarah Estes owner? Sure, it's Sheriff Longfellow from the Sheriff Department in Mattawamkeag. Thank you, Denise. Sarah, it's me. You alone? Good. So we've got 3 people coming driving on up to the Carstairs place, just as you thought they might. Looks like Alice Devereaux is sending some friends in, as we suspected. 2 men, a woman, and a dog. That's what Dawson said. Yeah. Well, it could be worse. I know. Well, like we discussed before, it's better that it isn't the police. No, Dawson saw them drive past. He doesn't know anything, of course. Anyway, I thought I should warn you just in case. They might stop in at your place. You're kind of the last hope, if you know what I mean. Sure. We both knew that moving Winter's car was going to be a long shot. I just guess I hoped that they'd think it was a straightforward disappearance. I guess not. No. It's a mess, I agree. Look, it's not your fault, and it sure as heck isn't mine. That damned Carstairs woman, if she hadn't been messing around with things. I know. Well, look, I'll come up as soon as I'm finished here. I'll bring the shotgun, just in case. Look, Sarah, your people, I don't want them involved with this any more than they already have been. They've been through enough. Oh, no. I'm keeping my boys out of it, particularly Dawson. He's far too interested as far as I'm concerned. No. But if he is involved, then, well, I'll take care of that myself. Yeah, I know. He knew the Carstairs before. Problem is, half the town did. Well, Carrington, anyway. Sarah, there's something else. I don't know how to, say it. I dreamt about him again. His eyes. Do you think he's coming down from the mountain? Do you think he senses something? Sure. Well, look, hopefully they'll be lucky. Hopefully he'll take pity on them the way he did on me, the way you did. We can look after them, right? Better with us than with those things. No, I'm all right. Well, you know how it is. I better go. I'll see you soon. Oh, and Sarah, take care of yourself, all right?
The Apocalypse Players present The House in the Woods by Gary Pilkington. A Call of Cthulhu scenario, adapted for 7th edition by Joseph Chant. Copyright Grenadier Models and Chaosium. Starring Dan Wheeler as Assistant Professor Flight Lieutenant Charles Chuck Lohman. Jeany Spark as Female Postmaster Natasha Rolyova. Danann McAleer as Local Lobster Mogul and Supplier Allagash Bunyan. And Joseph Chant as everybody and everything else.
So Chuck Lohman, you'd had this extremely unusual experience of seeing something flying high and leaving a shadow as it passed the moon above you, and it had triggered some sensation of what had gone before for your good self, and it had left you somewhat discombobulated as you were approaching these deep, deep woods and the journey ahead.
Well, I am. It's shaken me up a little, but it's not the sort of experience that I associate with. It's not the sort of vision that I associate with the experiences I've had in the past. So I think I'm not. It's given me a bit of a shake, but I'm not too disturbed.
Yeah. Maybe just enough to knock you off that centre line that felt so good for a moment.
Yeah, I just slow down a bit.
And I lean over and I say, hey, you look like you saw a flying cow. What's wrong with you? How about we pull in here, get some boiled sweets and...
Well, this does appear to be the last...
Glucosade.
This does appear... Every investigator's emergency backpack rationing.
Sponsored by Lucasade.
Yeah, exactly. Good, we need sponsors. Yeah, so this does appear to be the last, should we say, civilized building on the road that you were expecting to find, according to the directions that Wilyova has garnered for you. So perhaps, and also supplies. It does seem to have a sign up saying supplies available, written in chalk in that classic handwriting style. And you've followed the instructions carefully. You've gone through Mattawamkeag, and the last building on the left for a dirt track road which is oiled. So you're coming off the Macadam, going onto an oiled road. Thank you, Stephen King, for that little piece of information. There's the general store is on the left, which is called White Moon Stores. There's a big cabin.
As we pass the general store, I just say one more thought. I don't want to hold up our journey any longer, but is it worth us getting a local opinion on goings on up here? Maybe we don't want to speak to Sheriff Longfellow. I understand why we might not want to do that, but maybe someone in this store here might know something about. I've seen some comings and goings. If this is the closest place to the house, is it worth canvassing a bit of local knowledge?
You can feel him slowing down as he's saying this, but he's not sort of taking control.
I would be, I don't know if we want to draw more attention to ourselves than we already have, asking about the specific place we're about to go to. I'd rather get a sort of unbiased opinion. But, hey, if we find the place confusing or we don't find anything, the day's young.
While those two are having that conversation, Natasha, could you give me a spot hidden?
Bang on.
Yeah, nice. You see that there's something hanging above the windowsills of the cabin, and it looks like little. They almost remind you of poultices, sort of little pads wrapped with something quite tightly, and they're just hanging off. Quite irregular, and there's 2 or 3 on one window and 2 on another window. Just as this conversation is happening, not something that you saw in the rest of the town.
Like some sort of talismanic thing, like an evil eye type thing?
That's what your instinct would... Well, I mean, yeah. It might be an old tradition. It certainly reminds you of some of the old traditions in Russia, from your knowledge of such things.
Mm-hmm.
Would you like to roll your occult?
I would.
I'm saying this is happening split-second kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a fail, I'm afraid.
Would you like to draw anyone's attention to these items as you're driving past? Slowly. I think we've slowed down to about 10 miles an hour now. Also, there's...
I might ask Mr. Bunyan's opinion, because he's a local man steeped in local tradition. So I might say, Mr. Bunyan, what are these in the windows? The hanging balls? Do you recognize them? I have not
Do I know, or what should I roll for that?
I think you should probably roll local indigenous culture law.
Lovely. I put so many into that.
So maybe you specifically could give me a no roll.
A what, sorry?
A no roll from education. So sort of like your smarts.
Yeah.
It's your smarts rather than your actual kind
Locals,
of study.
yeah.
But I'll give you.
If it is something local,
I'll give you a bonus
you know,
die. I'll give you a bonus die.
Okay.
But I'm looking for good success.
I mean, I succeeded on the first one by 15. I'll try again though if I've got a bonus die. Just in case.
Try it again to see what you get.
It wasn't any better.
So if 15 under is the best, that looks like an old Indian thing. That looks like First Nations habits. You're not too sure what it means, but you think that sometimes they burn things like that. The cultural practice.
Some sort of pomander or
it's
poultice
like
of
almost like a kind of
herbs or
maybe to keep away bad smells or
spirits. What building was this on, by the way?
So this is
was
White.
it just a cabin we're passing.
White Moon Stores. It's the last building
it's
on
the
there.
actual stores.
And it's almost kind of perfectly natural. So as Chuck sort of pulls in, he has to slow down to 5 miles an hour anyway.
Yeah.
Because he's just adjusting from a flat road to quite a bumpy, stony, nicely packed down road.
Yeah.
So far. What's the decision?
So I mean, I'm still talking. I sort of say, I translate that, and I just sort of say, I think I've seen them before. I think it's part of some Indian ceremony they have up here, Penobscot. I think I've seen them before. I couldn't tell you what it represents specifically. I'll be honest.
Thank you, Mr. Bunyan.
Yeah.
Loman, are you driving on, or are you intrigued?
Well,
you'd slowed, so I don't think we're going to be able to stop you if you want to pull in. But also, we didn't say definitely do.
I'm keen for some but local knowledge, but I'm not in charge. It feels like I'm sort of outnumbered in terms of the other two want to move on, so I'm going to carry on going.
You made a good speech, so I'll give you a persuade roll, but I think it's opposed.
Thanks. Oh, okay.
So if you and Allagash can roll persuade,
right,
and Natasha is seemingly neutral about this.
My persuade is
pretty good.
Mine's very, very bad. I was going to see if I could push for something else.
I'll give you, in a true Wheeler style,
for charm,
breaking all of the rules. I'll give you, like I do all the time anyway. But if it's charm versus your best social skill, Bunyan.
Yeah.
I'll give you any of
best social skill versus best social skill.
Yeah,
that seems fair.
Thank you. That's very kind. I'll go for charm because I am very charming. Yeah. Although I wasn't then.
Well,
no.
I got a 66 on a 60,
and I failed mine. So
you both failed. So it's sort of up in the air, but you're sort of rolling on at 5 miles an hour down the. And there's a sort of weird impasse in the car. Natasha, do you do anything?
I think I'm unsettled by Allagash's description of the little pouches being First Nations things, because I recognise that as being a kind of, you use it to ward off bad
I've heard
spirits.
this.
So
I've heard this conversation they've had.
Yeah.
So I feel worried that we're walking into something bad, but I don't think there's anything that I do. I think we're going in.
One
last thing that I say.
Just one last thing.
My wife loves you.
Ms. Rulyova, I've obviously had that conversation. So if you're concerned, you think maybe these are wards, protective charms, how about I stop off and see if they can loan us one or purchase one? That'd put your mind at ease.
I just laugh a lot. Yeah, like they'd sell something to ward off spirits to a couple of tourists. You can go and ask if you want.
Well, me and Ms. Rulyova may be a couple of tourists, but one of us ain't.
Hi. I ain't stopping to buy some weird little... Hey, if it'll make you feel better, sure, I could ask him.
Okay, I mean, what can we lose?
I don't think there's any harm.
Alright, pull in here. maybe I could do with another couple of lines just in case we find a good fishing hole.
Thank you,
breaks.
Mr. Bunyan.
Right, here we go.
I think that's a good idea. I'll just pull in here.
You're slightly oddly about 20 yards up the oiled dirt track. But
I'm gonna reverse up.
But there's a perfect place to stop there.
The door catches me and I get run over.
And actually, weirdly, it's quite comforting to know that the car is sort of away from the road.
Yeah, I'm gonna wander back like it's a second thought, just like fishing bag over the
All
shoulder.
three of you heading in.
I don't mind waiting in the car, Algash, if you think.
I think that's
perhaps.
a good idea. Yeah.
Yes.
Is it worth them? I agree with you. You don't want to draw attention to the fact we're going up to the cabin, but is there something you can maybe ask them that might garner some information about?
What sort of thing?
Maybe if they've seen any comings and goings in this direction.
Right.
Maybe you
Yeah.
could say, is it? Have they had a lot of trade recently? Has it been busy? Don't see many.
About that?
Do you get a lot of people like me coming up here to go fishing?
Yeah,
Or has it been quiet recently? That kind of thing.
Right.
I think
Well,
I
keep
will
the
stay.
engine warm.
And then buy one of those little lavender balls in the window.
Yeah.
So the car's stopped at last, and Bunyan, you get out. Oh, do you take Buster with you?
Yeah. Well, Buster Hin used to take a leak anyway, so come on, boy. Well, keep the engine warm. I'll get us some snacks. And I lift my fishing gear on my shoulder and plod back towards the shop. Maybe I will get one of those little bundles, whatever you dismissively call them. And stretch me legs as I turn Irish.
So you get, because obviously you're 20 yards. I mean, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Especially after the conversation at the police station. You're 20 yards or so above the actual White Moon stores, and as you're heading, presumably Buster just sort of rushes off into the woods, and you do get you get that sense of the edge of the wilderness. I mean, obviously you're still on this oiled road.
Yeah, boy, don't go too far.
The woods are sort of slightly wilder. You can already feel that beyond, but you kind of, it's quite a welcoming sight. This White Moon stores. They've done a good job, you feel. But you can now very clearly see all these poultices, these couple of burnt ones on this side.
Yeah. Can I yeah, it's like the last outpost for 5,000 miles or something, isn't it?
Well, it feels a bit like that. Even, I mean, perhaps especially to you, because you do understand from here on it'll be the woodsman from here on in.
There's a lot of bodies buried out past this way. Not that well, I assume.
That was how the West was won.
Yeah, I'd like to if I can get a closer look at the poultices before I enter the shop. Is that?
Yeah. You could.
Yeah.
Do you want to sneak on up over to one, or do you want to just kind of walk over?
No, I think I want to make it clear if anyone's watching that I'm genuinely interested. I'm not going to do anything, dismissive with them. I'm going to have a...
So you walk along the edge of the road. Buster kind of falls in behind you, wagging his tail merrily, having done his business.
Yeah, boy.
And you could have a little look at the closest one is the one closer to the front. There are these two other windows on this side of the big cabin.
Yeah.
So it's a beautifully made, heavy beam cabin. So now, from this side, you can see that there's another couple of windows away from the entrance, and they also have the same packed things. And you've seen that a couple of them have been burnt, and perhaps they get lit at night.
Does it seem random, or is it just like there's a lot hanging outside each house, and
You get a very sweet smell from it, a mixture of tobacco and something else. Do you have a natural world skill?
Let me have a quick look.
I mean, you're a bit of a woodsman, aren't you?
I am, yeah, but I don't know if natural world is what I sort of assumed that was more sort of the science of the natural world. I don't have very good natural world, no. I can roll it anyway.
Yeah, may as well.
For a lot.
You might just get a miracle.
I got a 2! I've got 10.
Gain 1d10
Lovely.
for a start. So add from 1 to 10 to that.
Yeah.
What's that rule, Joseph? Is that a house rule, or is that?
Yeah, I suppose it is an experimental house rule. I'm not going to keep doing it. I don't think it's one of these ideas that I try for this one. That some of those skills are so low to start, like a 10% chance. So I'm only going to do it for anything that you only have 10 or below. So like the 1% psychology, right? No, psychoanalysis. So then if you roll that 0 to 5 magic extreme success, then to counter the fumble at 95 to 100, then I'll give you a D10 bonus, but only on those skills. And then you've got a bit of in-game progression, should you be lucky enough to survive.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah.
What did you roll?
I like it.
For your game?
Well, I rolled... Oh, wait, I'll roll my 10, yeah.
Yeah.
I was just listening. I rolled a 7.
Sweet.
So I get a 7. So that's 17 on natural roll.
Yeah. You've impressed yourself. You're pretty sure. You're pretty sure that. So there's tobacco, there's sage, and there's something else, and you can't quite pin it down. But you've smelt
Someone's
it.
been
somewhere.
smudging.
Yeah. But tobacco, sage, and something else. And like sage is for good health. So maybe this whole kind of positive warding thing isn't such a crazy thought. You could reach up and look at one very clearly, but obviously you would be potentially seen through the window, or you could just kind of look at it from where you are.
I think I'd like to lean up.
Yeah.
I'm not hiding the fact I'm having a look at it, I don't think. Because I imagine I'll be inquiring about them anyway.
So you see that it's quite intricately made. It's been sewed up, as well as sort of, initially from a distance you just thought they were sort of clumped together, but you can see that actually they've been wound with a pattern as well. And as I say, these ones look like they've been actually lit, and there does seem to be a wick within them.
Okay.
But there's a very strong smell. That sage comes through very, very strong, and also the tobacco. And there's still this something else that you can't quite work out what it might be.
Smudging. Okay. Well, I'll I think I'll. I don't have a lead for Buster because he doesn't need one.
Well, actually, as you, are you going to go around the front?
Or do I? Yeah, I think so. I'm not making any.
Well, you see that there's a water bowl put out for animals. It's quite a big one, so like potentially it would be for horses too.
Oh right, yeah, horses.
But there's a big old bowl of water there. Which doesn't look too nasty, and he kind of goes over and licks away at that.
Boy, Buster, stay here. Have yourself a drink.
Yeah, nice. And then you head in.
I approach. Yeah, I head in, assuming the door's open.
Oh yeah. Well, it looks like there's a sign up on the window, so you sort of climb up the steps, and you have a look at the White Moon stores.
Yeah.
As you get around to the front door, there's a sign up saying back in 5 minutes.
Right.
It's about let's say you left at 3:45, 5:45. There's probably an hour and 15 of daylight left. Good daylight.
We drove past a couple of
Yeah. 5:45. So like maybe there's a sort of 6 o'clock closing time, or maybe that's.
I want to do a little spot hidden, just like scan the road around me, see if I can see anyone heading up. Otherwise, I'm just gonna walk in. I'll open the door, prop it open. I'm not gonna make a mystery of the fact I'm there. I'm just a customer. It's relaxed. 5 minutes, we'll be back, or whatever.
You do a scan around, and no, there's nothing untoward. No one seems to be watching you. And as you turn and put your hand out, the door just pulls open about 6 inches, and you can see a woman's face through the crack.
Hey, darling.
She's a mixed race Native American woman. She looks at you with she's not hostile, but kind of curious. Says, "Can I help you, Sam?"
Yeah. I think you might be able to if it's not too much bother. I got my fishing stuff here. I was just wondering. I was looking for a couple of supplies, some snacks for. We're going up the road trying to find a nice fishing hole, and I was just
you
wondering
going
if
up to
you
Cappy's
still had 10
place?
minutes.
You going up to Cappy's place?
Huh?
You going up to Cappy's place?
Oh, I've heard of that. I think we might be going up that area. Yeah. Is there good fishing up there?
Well, there's the lake up there. She looks at you like she doesn't quite believe what you're saying. Do you want to do a kind of
do a persuade roll?
Yeah,
Or
Give me a
what do you
persuade,
want?
persuade or check. Well, no, whatever you want. Because if you're fast talking,
I'll go persuade. I think I'm not necessarily talking fast. I'm just trying to keep her attention and be like, hey, I'm cool. I got a 17 on my 60 persuade. So I'm saying, hey, like, yeah, I see it. You got any extra bait? But if not, hey, the guys in the car are just doing my head in a bit. I'd just like to have a breath
no,
of
sure, I
fresh
could
air
get you
and
some
see if
bait,
there's-
no problem. She opens the door. We're
Great.
about to close up.
Sorry to disturb you.
No, it's just that time. She's in her mid-40s. She's quite short, but she's in her mid-40s. She wears her hair very unfashionably. It's very long, very straight.
Wow.
She would be quite handsome were it not for a kind of thickness to the jaw. She's got quite a strong jaw. Well, no, she would be handsome were it not for this thickness to the jaw. But you feel like you could take her very seriously. She's got gravitas.
Yeah.
There's a whole load of things in here. Tons of stuff, like cages and...
Wow.
and
Well, what I'm going to
feed
do
and...
from the off is just have a little browse. I'm going to pick up a couple of random things. Probably from, like, I imagine they'd have the fishing stuff nearest the counter.
Oh, very much so.
Couple of lines. I make my own flies, so I'm not looking for anything like that. But I'm going to pick up a couple of lines, some, like, spare hooks, and just say, you know, while I'm here, got any jerky or any, I mean, I usually make my own. I do the lobster fishing down down Bangor way. Do we ever supply you?
Lobster jerky.
I don't think I've ever seen you before, sir.
So it's
You feel like you're in the presence of a pretty good poker player. She could be telling the truth.
Yeah. Bunyan's Lobsters.
Oh, I
We do a
know.
lot around here, but
Oh, I know
I'm
the
not
name.
sure Yeah, that's my company. Well, it's my son's company. I handed it over. I'm just a fisherman these days.
Could you give me a spot hidden roll?
I'd love to, because I feel like otherwise my improv will last forever. It won't be particularly interesting.
It's delicious. Don't-
I'm looking up if lobster
Ooh.
jerky's a thing. That is revolting.
It fucking better be.
It is now.
I know
sounds
salmon jerky's a thing, so I figured
absolutely
lobster
rancid.
jerky must be. 60
my God.
on a spot hidden, 55. I'm going to spend 5 luck.
Yep, do it.
Fuck it.
So you see a handsome, dark-bearded man in a lumberjack shirt in a photograph on the wall behind, and you see a pretty-looking Native American woman in another photograph behind. And unless you're very much mistaken, with your knowledge of the woods and the area, you're pretty sure that's a sort of Quebecois-style gentleman. It's the way he wears his moustache twirled.
Yeah.
This is, these pictures are 30 years old. Probably 40 years old, actually.
He looks remarkably like my ancestor, old Paul Bunyan. You'd have heard of him at least. Who's that in the picture?
Well, you're related to Mr. Bunyan, are you? Congratulations.
Oh, yeah.
That's my
Going
father.
right back to Oh, is it?
That's my father, Tristan LaSalle.
What was his name?
Tristan LaSalle.
Tristan LaSalle. I don't know if I know that name. Great name. And who's that next to him?
That's my mother. So is that all you'll be having?
What was her name?
Well, her name's Whiteman. That's what we named the store after. My name's Istis.
Oh, that's
Sarah
that's
Istis.
beautiful.
What's your name, sir?
Allagash. Allagash Bunyan.
Bunyan, after the Bunyans, of course.
Yeah, of course.
She
Direct
smiles,
descendant.
but you get the strong impression that she's not going to hide the fact she doesn't really believe you. You
well,
get
that's all right.
you get the
Not
very
many
strong
people
impression
do.
she's telling the truth.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I got this stuff. I tell you what. Have you got any of those? You don't have any of those poultices, those pomanders you got hanging outside the store. What is it you use them for? They smelled so delicious on the way down, and they sort of brought me back to my childhood. I got a little Indian in me, and we used to go out camping, and we'd have these experiences. It smelled a bit like their incenses they have, and sorry, I don't mean to offend. I don't know enough about the culture, but I don't suppose you could tell me what's in that. it's the tobacco. I got a bit of tobacco. I got a bit of sage. It was so interesting. Is it a religious thing or?
She brings the sales book up with a heavy, with a heavy drop, but not in a kind of dramatic way, but in a sense to sort of say, okay, you've got my attention, and we'll just cut back to the car.
Yeah.
Natasha, you're looking out of the window when you see Rasputin.
No.
Fuck's sake.
About 90,
It's getting really weird.
about 90 meters away.
Oh.
Closer than 100, but definitely not 50. Maybe 75. What are you going to do?
Let out a little scream.
Well, it's, you haven't lost any sanity, so you don't have to do that. So you're,
I think
you're
I
in
think
control
I would
of your
say,
senses at this point.
I think I would get the attention of Flight Lieutenant Assistant Professor Charles Lohman and say,
Miss,
can you see that figure standing over there?
can I?
So you look over, and for a split second, you think you can see a very, very tall man with very, very long hair. And then you realise that it's just the way the moss is hanging off the broken bough of a dead tree.
Can you see anything?
So I can't see anyone else, no?
You can't see any people there. But it does look like a person. The more you look at it, it almost looks as if it's got two kind of pinpoints for eyes just at the top. But you're pretty sure it's just moss bedraggled over a big old...
Miss Rulyova, I can't see a person out there.
The tall man. Can you see the tall man with the dark hair? Can you see him?
I think that's just a tree. I don't know. Maybe
the moment
maybe
he
your
says
eyes,
that, you begin to realise maybe it is just a tree.
Maybe your eyes ain't that great. Would you like me to get out of the car and go look for you?
No.
I'd be more than happy to.
No, I'm sorry. I think.
Are you feeling all right? Do you want something to eat or drink? Is there something you need? Cigarette, perhaps?
Yes. I think I need something to settle my nerves.
And perhaps, perhaps the two of you deliberately talk about quieter things or less heavy things for a time. But back in White Moon Stores, Sarah Istas says, "Well, I don't rightly know what you're here for, sir, but I'm very happy to sell you something. You'd like a little bit of the mixture? Well, that's sure. You know what it's for? You said you got a little bit of Injun in you.
Yeah. Well, it's on my mother's side, but it's going way back. I'm afraid to say.
Mine too.
Really?
Well,
Wow.
as you know," she says, pointing.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I tell you what, the smell of it just brought something out in me, and I felt protected. Like as I walked under it, I felt this. I don't know. I saw some crazy-looking guys on the way up here. Have you not been having any trouble with outsiders?
You here for that, Professor? The one that's gone missing?
Oh, I might be looking for a professor.
Well, let's say that you buy this here tackle and bait anyway, and I'll sell you a couple of the white baneberry packs too. Here, and she gets a little bag and she puts some white berries into it with some leaves, and then the sage that you recognise, and some broken up tobacco, and she pulls it into a tight cord, and she puts it down, and she gives you an exorbitant price for it. Probably twice what it's worth, you're thinking.
Which I pay because I don't want to offend her.
To which she nods.
But I say again, don't suppose you've been having any trouble with any odd sort of out-of-towners up this way?
That professor came in here. Mr. Winter, is that right?
Did he?
He came in here looking for supplies. I sold him some beef and some beans and some potatoes. Just food stuff. They didn't need no logs up there. It's plenty laid up by that old Carrington, I can tell you that.
Of course. How did he seem? Was he did he seem friendly? He seem upset, or
he didn't seem too well, I gotta be honest. There was a sheen on his brow, if you see what I'm saying. Looked like he might have had a Been running a bit of a temperature.
Bit of a fever. Ah, okay. That's good to know. I mean, hey, I don't know the fella. I'm just following up for a friend who doesn't really trust the local authorities, you know. So I'd appreciate your discretion in that regard, of course. But yeah.
You speak
Tell
to
you what,
yeah.
you ain't seen I mean, I've only seen the guy once, but I also have seen the car a few times. So I'm gonna really sort of push my inquiry here because I feel like she's blocking me every time I say it slightly, and I'm just gonna say, is there a thing with what's the local get up around here? I see this guy in the corner. He's got a big fucking he's got his collar up. He's got this long greasy hair. Is that the fella? Is he local? Is he off on one, or is that the local thing?
She leans across the counter in a conspiratorial fashion. The first time that she's ever sort of looked a bit more like she's willing to divulge. And she says, I don't know what you've got yourself involved with, Mr. Bunyan.
Not a we.
But I'm pretty sure that whatever you're up to has nothing to do with whatever Professor Winter was up to. If you see what I'm saying. I don't know about any men in trench coats looking for Allagash Bunyan, if that's what you say your name is. But I do know that man wasn't so well, and I told him he shouldn't spend too much time on his own. He seemed dead set on that, so it's not my job to interfere.
No, of course.
I also know that my grandfather always said, you don't go walking in that part of the woods. Not without looking after yourself. So that's why I'm selling you this here little something.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Because I don't think it's right, you know, to just leave a person without something like that.
It's much appreciated. And hey, don't you worry. I don't have that much in common with the man, but and I'm sure of that. We're just checking up on his safety, like. But I tell you what, on my way back down here, after I've burned a couple of these lovely pomanders of yours and fell all safe up by the house, let's talk about maybe getting some of Bunyan's lobsters in here. You could sell them to the passers-by. They'd love it.
Maybe we've got a little ice house out back. That might work.
Hey, excellent.
I
Pleasure.
can tell you it doesn't work on the Chaosium to Equa.
Aha. Haha. I mean, I don't know what it means, so I'm just gonna laugh and nod as if I do.
That's what we call the bad spirits.
Say again? The what?
The bad spirits.
But how do you say it?
The Manaheto.
Malaheto. Thank you. You've been most helpful, and I'm sorry for keeping you open longer than you wanted to be.
Not at all. You made a good sale. And she bids you.
We'll see you on the way back through.
She walks you to the door. At the door, she opens it, and you see a look in her eyes of regret. Maybe says, "Don't suppose you want to buy any guns?"
Oh, I sort of I look at her and I just against my better instincts, I just pat the side of my my fishing bag and just say, I think we should be okay.
And she wordlessly closes the door.
Boom.
While he's coming back to the car, you two have been having this quieter conversation. What's that been about? Roughly, what area might you have strayed into?
It's fair to say that, having spent this much time together, I might have asked Ms. Rolyova what brought her to the United States.
And I would have told him little as I could that the revolution of 1917 had made my position as a Russian intelligentsia member untenable, and that I've been in Petrograd. I've been a woman of a woman of letters to a certain extent, a private tutor for children of some of the more royal and noble families, and that I had come into contact with a now infamous figure called Rasputin, who had been dazzling the court at the time with his magnetic personality.
Wow.
I think, and I think it is on the words magnetic personality that Allagash arrives.
Talking about me again.
In the car.
Oh, Mr. Allagash.
I don't want to hold us up on this, but is it fair? Would I know the name Rasputin?
Oh yes. Oh God,
Should
yes. Yeah.
Fine.
It's 24. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think it's fair, especially in your position as a gentleman of letters. I think you'll have read the articles because they were around already.
That's fairly astonishing.
But he is dead. He is dead. I don't. Twice, I think I have seen him now.
Now this is information.
I think as she says that, could you give me an idea check with a bonus, Professor Charles Lohman, former flight lieutenant?
Yes, that's very kind. I was going to try a feeble psychology check, but no, that would be lovely. An idea check with a bonus. Yeah, both exactly the same, just regular success.
So, you think about the nature of that weird tree that now you've looked at it the way that you look at it now, you can't get it to look like the person again. But it's crude, but it could be a sort of weird version of a long-haired, massive monk. But also it's something starting to niggle at you about why that might be triggered. So now I will take your psychology check. Or psychoanalysis with a bonus.
Well, they're both very bad. Psychology is not quite as bad.
If it's starting level.
Oh. Gosh, that's what we call a fumble.
Is that the sweet spot?
Yeah.
So
because my psychology is 10 and I've rolled a 98.
Oh, mate.
Could you give me the physical but non-verbal indication that you realise that you understand the situation fully within the context of being in a car with a person who you've only just met? So I don't know what that might be, but it could be kind of verbal, but it could be...
No, I perfectly understand what... I hadn't realised it before, but I know exactly what Ms. Rulyova's problem is. And I know
what's your
exactly
celebratory gesture?
How to fix her problem.
But what's your physical celebratory gesture as you realise this?
I lean over and I put my hand on the back of her neck and lean towards her and say, Miss Rulyova, you're safe with Chuck. You're safe with Chuck. And I lean in, tilt my head a little bit too far to give her like a Matt Hancock kiss, but slowly so she may have time to pull away.
I was not expecting that.
Well, you asked for it.
Yep.
You asked for a physical reaction.
That's
how I've read the
fumble.
situation. That's definitely how I've read the situation.
Wow.
Gosh.
Is that all right for me to play my fumble for you?
Yeah, no, I was expecting like a celebration rather than a dynamic action forwards. So I was thinking you went or something like that. I was thinking like a single gesture, but no, you've gone full total fuck up. Can I ask what you rolled? Was it 100?
I rolled a 98, but on a 10.
Okay, so he does this, and he's got a lot of charm. So I think what I'm going to give Chuck on this situation, because it's such a lovely offer, Jeany, as Rulyova. I don't think Dan's being pervy. Point 1. Point 2, I think that's important. Point 2, I think you read it as well-intentioned.
Yes.
And although he's not the best-looking guy, he's very charming, and I think he wants to sort of make things better, and everyone's stressed.
No, he's not very good looking, you're right.
And you kind of get this vibe.
He's got a kind of Lego look, you know. He's not unattractive, but he's just really like bland,
Lego.
sort of like. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, when you see those men and they're like, they're kind of on paper they're like tall, dark, like well built, chiseled jaw, but just like absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Lego jock.
That's a great description.
And I'm sensing that both Natasha Rulyova and Jeany Spark are recognising how much they're not into that. But
But I think she's.
One
I
could
think she
argue,
would
obviously.
I think she would gently. She wouldn't dismiss the gesture, but instead of leaning in for the kiss that Chuck is so obviously angling for, I think she would put her hand on the side of his face to both acknowledge the goodness of what he's offering, but also to go, no, thank you, and say, thank you, Chuck. I do feel safe with you.
And it's those words that I think Allagash's head kind of comes down, because those cars are, you have to kind of bend down to look into them, and that's what you see, Allagash, is this totally confused, beautiful moment of two very different people trying to express very different things, interconnecting. Just as you've said this really quite good line about, oh, you're talking about me and magnetic personality, and you really feel like something's been missed. But I suspect, for the interests of moving forwards, there's a bit of brushing off of that moment, and everyone moves on. I don't know what Allagash is saying about what he's discovered in the other. Is there anything you're holding back?
I don't think there's any reason he would, because I think there was a connection with this one. But I think he's honest. He says, "Oh, they seem sort of weird about the place we were going. Apparently, old Jamesy, what the fuck his name is, came in here himself. He was feeling a bit peaky. He looked a bit shiny, and but the whole area, apparently, they seem to be fucking slightly on edge about. She gave us a couple of those little charms that you saw hanging down by the window, but she seemed to be honest, I mean, she I tell you what, she rinsed me financially, but at the same time, it seemed like she wouldn't have given it to us unless she felt sympathy or pity or something. I got that impression that she was, she thought we were heading to a dangerous place. Anyway, local.
Well, everyone has their personal superstitions and
yeah, you're quite right.
odd beliefs, right. And I say that, and I just sort of give Rulyover a little smile on that line, thinking it's a sort of comforting, sympathetic thing to say rather than a horribly condescending thing.
Loman, you're such a ladies' man. I'll get in the back.
Say we've done all we can here, and we should head up to that cabin.
Yeah, I got some more boiled sweets. I got us all a couple of magnums.
Classic.
Fantastic. Great work, boys.
The car starts up after a swift crank from a strong wrist, and Loman gets back in the car, confident. Takes you up the first mile very smoothly. Then the road starts to get a little bit rougher, and you draw another mile ahead. You draw even with, and it's slow going. You draw even with a place which has a crooked sign saying "Captain" on it. Someone has drawn a catfish on the bottom right corner of this sign, and the catfish is doing something indescribable for our viewers / listeners. It's shitting.
Like a catfish Ouroboros, or is it?
It's just shitting. No, it's nothing too horrific. It's not indescribable in the Lovecraftian.
So I'll describe it for you.
Very good. It's shitting.
This is what it is doing.
And there's been some scratching away at that, but clearly hasn't removed the the graffito.
But it's not the classic Scooby-Doo population 1 crossed out 0.
No,
it's the
sadly.
it's just a catfish.
But that's the captain place, and actually there's some music coming from it, from a cranky old wireless is the expression I'd like to use. I'm not sure if that's believable.
Please
Even
do.
This high in the woods, you wouldn't have thought he'd get a signal, but maybe we're on some high ground.
Can I just double check?
We are in the hills
as we're
now.
driving past. Did Loman
I was sort of saying that you were stopping briefly to give it its due. Sorry, Allagash.
But did Loman and Rulyova give me the lowdown on what they discovered about Cappy?
Oh yes, in
Captain.
those two, I think that's actually, I was going to go back to the excellent question. In those 2 miles, and indeed in this whole journey, has anyone held back any information that they've found?
See, I don't think I've got any information I would hold back, so I don't think I have.
So the squatters' information you've shared with them?
Yeah. So yeah, that's a good point actually. I will have told you that I've heard on the grapevine via what I was doing at the time, that there were squatters in this place. Since have been moved on, or left sharpishly, regardless. But I mean, I don't see that as anything out of the ordinary. So, yeah.
I think maybe I might not have shared all of the details from the note that I found in the apartment, just because I don't understand it myself yet.
Yeah.
I think I would have shared the knowledge that oh God, what's her name?
Anastasia Carstairs.
Anastasia, yes, Anastasia had been.
Dr. Carstairs.
Sorry, Dr. Carstairs. You're absolutely right. Dr. Anastasia Carstairs had success with her treatments on Winters, but stuff about the blue-eyed god.
You haven't mentioned that.
I've not mentioned that because I don't know the relevance of it myself yet.
Good to know. I mean, considering the fact that the two of you and Charles have definitely shared that with Allagash regarding the medical notes. That does get mentioned in the medical notes. So.
Yeah. I think I haven't held anything back. I may have. Well, I certainly won't have given anything away about any of it which might have particularly affected me. But in terms of facts, I think I've been really upfront about everything.
Yeah, fair enough. Good. Okay, right. Well, so you can hear some music spilling forth from the captain place.
So this is Zeke Captain's place then. So, is it worth? I mean, I don't want to keep stopping our journey. I'm keen to get to that cabin as much as you are, but I think maybe Captain, maybe he's just crazy old drunk.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like he's probably both. Joseph, can I check? Because I feel like I might know Cappy but if I don't, that's fine. He's just like a.
It's a big area up here. It's Penobscot. It's too big to know. If he was on the river, you definitely characters like this. He's drunk too much. He's probably fried.
I get the general feel.
Yeah.
Of like, I know Haz is like this.
It's a proper
I get my
shack.
local boys to cuckoo them. They go in, they fill them up with liquor, and they take over the area. No, I'm joking. I don't know what we're gonna learn from some fucking madman. I mean, I've seen a cow jump over the moon too, but
what's the expression? It's a 1 up, 2 down with an outhouse. That's what it is. It's not big, this little place. It's falling apart.
We might as well have a look while we are here.
So can I just double check with you? Are the two of you getting out of the car?
Yeah.
I am certainly. Yeah.
Williova and Bunyan out of the car. Loman, you're ready to go. You've literally just kind of come to a halt. Are you going to take Buster with you?
Yeah. Give him a little whistle.
He tucks in close at that whistle, I assume.
Yeah, absolutely.
And are you sneaking over to this window? You can see the light and you can hear music.
Allagash isn't. Yeah, he's not particularly one for sneaking, I suppose. But if they can get a look inside without being.
Yeah, I don't necessarily mean sneaking in the silent movies. Yeah, exactly. I mean, as in, are you using your natural survivor's instincts to not be heard? Would you like to do a stealth roll, or would you like to just walk over?
I'm in two minds. I think for Allagash, he's well aware. Quite a lot of these folks, especially the ones who tend to sup on their own moonshine. It's a toss-up. You don't want them to know you're there necessarily, but you don't want to get a shotgun blast through the door either.
Do you know what? Can you give me Buster's stealth roll? I think Buster's got a stealth. I'm thinking 69. What?
Easy.
Yeah.
Oh.
Family show. Come on.
I wouldn't call it a family show.
Sorry, Dad.
You don't know what's coming, but I know what's coming.
He's not the youngest of dogs, but he's well trained. So I think it's good. I rolled a 16 for Buster.
Sweet. So Buster kind of creeps up ahead,
fox-like,
smelling around on the dirt track, and he seems very happy with his work. And
I'm very happy.
I think the two of you approach without making too much noise. And look through the window at the scene within. And you see, lying on the couch, Ezekiel Cappy Captain pretty much passed out. You're fairly sure. He's got a white string vest on, braces, filthy wide leg trousers.
So we're that close to the house. Okay, cool.
He's lying on his side. He hasn't seen you. He doesn't even seem to be awake.
I'm just gonna say I think we've got a bit of an understanding, but I'm just gonna say to Natasha, like, look at the fucking sin, the guy. Like, what's he gonna tell us about anything? I don't know. You know, we say a name to him, he'll fucking imagine something out of his head. I
think it's fair to say that the two of you at this point, Allagash and Natasha, you both see a somewhat reluctant Chuck Lohman coming out of the car. If that's all right with you, Dan, I'm just going to sort of suggest that's like you're not engaging. In fact, if anything, you're specifically getting out of the car to make it clear that you actually think that it's a bad idea to go in to the house, but you're doing that sort of lingering by the car door thing to make that present, if that's okay. And also, I think that triggers a moment for Bunyan and Rulyova where they consider this article anew. Could you give me a psychology roll regarding Flight Lieutenant Assistant Professor Charles Lohman and the article that he mentioned?
I would love to.
You know he's got an article.
Ooh, that's a really good roll. What is my psychology?
But you've not seen it.
Ooh, I got an 8 on a 40.
You're pretty sure.
43 on a 50.
You're pretty sure. You're
Ooh.
both pretty sure that he's hiding something. Allagash, you begin to realise that he might be hiding something sensitive to himself.
Yeah.
It's not about.
Yeah.
Not about Cappy. It's about the prof.
And
Prof
you
LT.
probably interpret that by the fact that I'm getting a bit twitchy looking through the window.
Wait. So,
like maybe I want to speak to him, but also I don't want to speak to him.
Just as that tune finishes and another one starts, and he sort of he huffles
lean
and
forward
snuffles.
and just say, so you keen on stopping here, Doc, or you want to carry on? Which do you want to do? I mean, it's up to you. You're driving.
Well, first of all, it's very kind of you to call me Doc, but I haven't got my doctorate yet.
Stud, what should I call you?
Well, you can call me Chuck. I think we probably
Established that in the last episode, probably.
good enough friends now. I'm not sure this. I don't know how much help these. I mean, what are we gonna do? Go in there and say, so tell us about the cow you saw in the sky? And as I say that, my eyes sort of flick up to the sky like a little bit like this, and then back down again.
Quite right. Well, let's carry on then.
Professor, you're sweating. Are you? Do you feel okay?
It's humid this close to the river. I say maybe we either get back in the car or knock on the door, but maybe don't hang around here outside the house where he may or may not have seen strange things in the sky, you know?
Can I, is there anything else near this place? Maybe it's not a spot hidden, but like, because I'm not getting the impression that he's totally like, it's more to do with him and the professor, and it's like not to do with Cappy. But like, why is he so uncomfortable in this particular area? Or is he happy to move on?
I don't think he feels exposed in that sense. I think it's more that you've suddenly caught on to the fact that there might have been something about this guy in the article that wasn't 100% clear.
Right.
It's sort of... It's partly the front-footedness of the two of you have revealed that he's less front-foot about it.
Yeah.
I've sent a message to Natasha Rulyova just so that you know.
Yes, indeed.
In which case, I'm just going to say, yeah, I think you're right. Let's get back in. Let's head to the house. I can drive the last bit if you want.
No. I'm happy driving. It's
No. I insist. You've been driving us all the way up here. I just walk over to the driver's door.
all right. I scurry back to the car. So backwards glance at the house, backward glance at the sky.
I think I catch eyes with Allagash and just go, oh my god.
I do a sort of similar...
So there was... Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he said it out loud, so that's good. The last mile it's rough going. Could you give me a driving test, please?
Fuck's sake, I shouldn't have taken over, should I?
That's what you
Right,
get
here we go.
heroics, mate.
Where's my drive?
Oh no, it's not you. It's Chuck, isn't it? Oh,
No,
did you
'cause
you just took it?
He insisted on driving.
I took the car keys. I said I'll drive the last bit of the way.
That's what you
Right.
get for chivalry.
I know. Even if it's more controlling behaviour than chivalrous.
Ironically, the only person with any drive skills hasn't yet driven.
Yeah. So I've got 20 drive auto and I rolled a 95.
Ooh. Okay. Yeah.
I sense something is about to happen.
Yeah. So you hear a terrible sound as a pothole approaches, and you very sensibly avoid the pothole. And as you do, you sort of straighten up as you're avoiding, and the right side of your car, the front wheel just kind of slumps, and you hear this kind of awful, like it's screaming slightly, and then it sort of pulls through, but you begin to realise that tyre is absolutely done for, and you've done some serious damage, which will require mechanical engineering.
Say, that sounds like you've done some serious damage to that wheel, which might need some mechanical repair. Do you mind to pull over? I'll take a look at that.
I ain't done no damage to it. It's damage that was already done to the car, obviously. This piece
Listen,
of
I know
banging
my
shit.
automobile. I don't want to make... I'm not pointing fingers, but I know my automobile, and there was no problem with that wheel until
I
you
see,
hit that
I see.
pothole. Just let me get out and have a look at it. I'll put it straight.
Get out and have a look at it. Get out and fill that pothole in.
Fill the pothole
Boys,
in.
boys, let's not fight.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
It was accident.
Sure, that's what I'm
lo-
saying. It was an accident through
I'm gonna
gritted
light up
teeth.
my little corn cob pipe and just.
It occurs to you that it's probably quicker to walk from here to the
I
actual
know it
house.
may be quicker to walk from here, but I would like to take a look at my car.
You would say-
I'd like to take a look at my
I
automobile.
think there's probably an hour's daylight left.
Well,
Right.
if there's an hour's daylight, I like to spend it making sure that my automobile is in the best possible condition. If you two want to walk up to the cabin, I will fix this car right here and I'll drive up and follow you.
Give us the
I'd
mechanical
completely forgotten
repair
it was
check.
your car.
Give us the what check?
Mechanical repair.
I'm honestly, if they want to walk up to the cabin, they can. I'm not leaving the car here in the middle of the road, in the middle of buttfuck nowhere.
Yeah. And that is a good description of it as well.
Oh, I've failed.
Very grumpy.
I'm gonna push it.
I love it. It's our first push. I love it. Tell us how.
Yeah, exactly. How? I say, Allagash, let me have a look in that fishing sack of yours. You got maybe a machete or a big some kind of like a. I should have. Damn it! I should have bought that 10-foot pole.
I pull my hunting knife out of my side holster and just say, "This is all the blades I got."
That'll do. So I take that. Why? I'm trying to wedge that. Something's stuck, and I can't actually see what I'm doing. So I wedge that in the, like, right in the middle of the sort of where the axle meets the wheel, and I push down hard on it.
Nice. I like it. Let's have a re-roll. He's done it. Great. So I'm also.
That's a 10. That's a hard success.
Hard
He's gonna kiss Allagash hard on the mouth.
Not only do you make sure that the wheel is okay, so the wheel isn't damaged. You just need to change the tire, which you can do. That one's shot, unfortunately. So this is going to be, and because it's such a good roll, I think you do it in double quick time. So it's 15 minutes. There's 45 minutes of daylight left, but the crucial roll is: could I get the credit rating on how good a knife that was, as to whether it survived?
Great question.
Whether it survived the process.
So my credit rating.
Because I don't want to put you guys on edge or anything, but we're in the kind of knife territory now.
Should I roll against Danann's credit rating since I was the one who was?
No, it's he bought it, so we need to know how much money Allagash Bunyan spends on his knives.
So it's tricky because I base my credit rating, and Joseph, you're the only one who will fully understand this, on a perceived level of income. But obviously it's probably different from that.
But
But
you didn't put the skill points into it. Is that what you're saying? Is you didn't put the skill points into it?
Well,
because you didn't have the skill
I
points
did,
left.
but they're into another character's skill points. It's got a bit complex, but I'm just going to roll for my own because I'm living the life that I'm living.
You live your life.
Well, I succeeded. I got a 22 on a 30.
Then you're absolutely fine. Yeah, because you couldn't be seen to be having a knife that was actually as valuable as potentially you'd
I'm
be
not
able
going to have
buy.
an engraved Japanese sushi knife. I'm going to,
Even though perhaps he
Yeah.
could buy one if he wanted.
maybe I could if I wanted.
Maybe he could. Who knows? But yeah, so there you are. The knife survives against the odds. I think we'd all agree.
Yeah.
and it's largely wordless. All of this. But I think Natasha, you're given a moment to wander up ahead, and you get the first proper look at the cabin. It's in a clearing. It's rather handsome. It commands a little prospect on raised land, with dense firs around it, but all at sort of 30, 40 yards away. So it's in a little clearing, which is very nice. It's a really nice. You can imagine it's a nice vacation spot. You can feel a fresh breeze from the lake up above, even though you can't see any of that. And the still clear sky is there, with a few clouds off to the east. You can feel that gathering storm still over there, but it's cooler air up here.
And is it a 2-story house?
It is a two-story.
So it's quite a substantial holiday vacation home.
It is a vacation home. It's a cottaging home. If you pardon the Canadian expression, to go cottaging.
Easy now.
It's a fact. That's what Canadians call it.
This is where people go.
We're not that
for a
far
bit of
from the
cottaging.
border. We're not that far from the border.
A spot of cottage.
Yeah.
Cottage cheese.
He was just up here cottaging.
And as you're standing there commanding this view and the first to see it, you're the first one to spot the doors, because you just happen to be on the angle as the sun is going down steadily. You get the last of the light on 2 doors banked into the earth, but connected to the building, but banked into the earth at a storm shelter angle, or a root cellar angle, as you would perchance believe it to be.
From the old country, yes.
Indeed, and I think maybe for a moment you just remember that figure standing in the woods that you thought you saw, the advisor to the Tsarina, and you remember his burning eyes, and there's just some fragment, a psychic fragment of that kind of power is there, and it's as if you're being watched. You can't shake the feeling for a few seconds, and then it's gone. So great, you bring the car up, gentlemen. Flight Lieutenant Assistant Professor Charles Chuck Lohman and Lobster Mogul Allagash Bunyan. You drive up and you see the tall, slim figure of Post Mistress Natasha Rulyova standing on the left side of the road.
Female postmaster.
Female postmaster, thank you for the correction and apologies. I felt that it was wrong as it was coming out, as so many.
I've said it before you.
Yes. So, gentlemen, you begin to see some of what Rulyova's been taking in, if that's an expression that I can use.
my
Seems
God.
inappropriate now.
This is.
I was going to say drinking in, and I stopped saying drinking in. So this house commands a little.
She's
bit
not
of
drinking her own moonshine as well, is she?
Yeah, well,
Potato from
maybe
a
it's just the
shoe.
fumes from Cappy's place. Who knows? Who knows? And there is a good moon up there tonight. Maybe Lohman's conscious of the moon above him.
Oh.
Like so many men before him.
The car, beautifully fixed, as we've said, as we've established, beautifully mechanically repaired, purrs to a halt. Buster wags his tail and leaps up in the back seat, looking interested, sniffing away, and transferring his affections both from Bunyan, his master, to Lohman, who is his care, of course, in charge. He's still interested in the mental health of Charles Chuck Lohman. He wants to protect this poor man seeking tenure.
He's got far better psychology than I do.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, who can really tell what's going on in a dog's mind, eh? But I think Buster, like the rest of you, is very aware of this tranquil scene. The sun is streaming through the woods, casting wonderful shadows deeper in, and you too, gentlemen, pick up the scent of that fresh air from the lake above. And welcome to the house in the woods. You've got here. You've made it.
I'm gonna get